You're listening to Question Reality. Question Reality with Priscilla Leona.
Hello! You just caught me drinking a little bit of water. I'm verklempt over here. There's verklemptness everywhere going on. Hi. Hello. I am Priscilla Leona, and welcome to the Question Reality Radio Show. And we are coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. I am creator and producer, and I'm everything, I guess, on the show, except the technical director. Back in the Bat Cave, we have the executive producer and the technical director, Mr. Albert Biko, helping me to make this show go. Yeah, we ended that with a preposition. All right. Now, our story for 20 plus years, surely you've been with us that long and you're old and gray like I am now, but for over 20 years, we have been providing our listeners with entertainment industry advice, career advice specifically. And now this show is for you if you are questioning your career reality about the possibility of pursuing a career in the entertainment industry, or if you're already working in the entertainment industry and you just want some tips, advice, and resource information on how and what it takes to elevate your career status. Now, you want to know who are some of the guests that are on our show. We have Oscar nominees, we have Emmy winners, Grammy winners, Tony Award winners, we have reality TV stars, we have film, TV, radio, music, theater producers and directors, we have A-list casting directors, we have talent managers, PR agents, talent managers, publicists, did I say that? Talent manager? No, talent agent, I said. Publicists, screenwriters, we have authors and writers and novelists, we have, of course, singers, actors, dancers, models, and musicians, we have PR reps, comedians. I'm going to name them all for you. We have bands on here, script supervisors, stunt people, film critics, and of course, entertainment attorneys. So the list just goes on and on. Basically, if they're working in the entertainment industry, we're going to bring them on the show. We're going to lasso them on to give you all of the tips and advice that hopefully you need to, again, elevate your career in show business. Now, if you missed any of our past shows, here are the ways that you can watch. You can go to our website, which is questionrealityradioshow.com, questionrealityradioshow.com, Facebook at Question Reality Radio Show. On social media, every single platform, we've got, of course, all the social platforms. Let's just run them down. YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and X and Twitter and TikTok. You name it, I'm on them all. And my little tip for everyone, no matter what career you're in, you need to be consistent with your branding, your R&D, research and development, and your branding. And that is to keep it consistent. If you need people to follow you or find you, or learn your brand, or know your brand, or buy your brand, you need to keep it consistent. You cannot have all these cutesy little, hey, it's me, hey ho at gmail.com for an email, and then have it on Facebook, and then have something different on Twitter, and then something different on LinkedIn. You just need to keep it consistent so people can find you. People have very small attention spans now. And if they can't find you on Google in the first 5-10 seconds, that's it. You're done. Next. It's just a reality. A favor, if you like our show and like the guests that we have on our show, please help us out by subscribing on our channels, and also our sites. Give our little sites a little thumb, a little like, a little follow. And we will return the favor. When we see that you're following us, we follow you. I am trying to separate two pieces of paper here. That's why I look a little weird. Now, if you want to be booked on our radio show, or refer someone for their sage advice, or to promote themselves, their products, you have to go to our website, which is questionrealityradioshow.com. And it's very easy. You go to the contact link and you just fill in your name, your email, your website. That's it. and you are on your way to being vetted. Yes, we are going to vet you, it's not as bad as it sounds. Everybody gets vetted. You're either getting vetted and trolled or vetted and vetted. There's always some vetting going on. That's just a part of our life. You go out on a first date. What are people doing? If you're smart, you're running their social security number and doing a background check, a criminal background check before you go on the date. But it's just very, very simple to come on the show and just promote yourself. So questionrealityradioshow.com is also where you can see. Now, I wanted to have this ready because we have so many exciting people coming on the show. Some are people that have been on the show before, and some are new, but very exciting guests coming up. And if you go to the website, questionrealityradioshow.com, you can check the 2024 schedule, and you can see all of the guests that are coming up. Now, let me just tell you about a couple. In March, we have a 5-time Grammy winner, Ladysmith Black Mambaza. It is a South African band based out of course, South Africa. You can look them up and find more information, but they're fantastic. Fantastic. Also, we have on April 18th, we have a lady named Saba Moore Dosette. Now, this lady, as you know, I'm a judge and screener for many film festivals, and I met her doing press interviews at a film festival in Arizona last year, and I was blown away by her. She is 81 years old, looks like she's 35, and she is a sports fitness model. Oh my God, this woman, I was like, no, you are not 81. Get out of here. No. But she runs a huge business conglomerate of sportswear and sports things. You know me, I'm not into the sports stuff. I avoid anything working out and breaking a sweat like the plague. But she is all about it. That's why she looks so fantastic. But she's coming on the show. You don't want to miss that on April 18th. And then we are going on into, and I got a couple other guests, but I don't want to take the whole show. I just want to tell you a couple people. We have Bernie Martin, celebrity fashion designer. He's been on the show many, many times. He is lovely. And if you want to be a fashion designer, you want to come on and listen to him and find out what he's doing, find out about the trends, find all about fashion. We have one of my favorite casting directors of all time, Alan Hooper, coming on the show. He's an A-list casting director. He cast for Modern Family. Who doesn't know the hit show Modern Family? Superior Donuts. Go on imdb.com and look him up. He's fantastic. He's going to be telling you, if you're an actor, you don't want to miss this show, because he's going to be telling you what you need to be doing when you get in front of a casting director. We have one of my very favorite friends, multiple. I think she's won 8 Emmys now. She's a fantastic person. I love her. She's been on the show. She's a friend. Her name is Mary Lou Belli. She is a primetime director. Right now, I think she's doing the Miss Pat show. Just, again, look her up on imdb.com. But you don't want to miss her. I don't even know. Last time she was on the show, it was... I think she was on her fourth Emmy Award, but it's been a while. So check her out, Mary Lou Belli, on IMDb. And we have one of my favorite people in the whole world. You know him. If you've watched American Idol, you know him. He was the music director for 16 seasons. Sorry, 16 season is not necessarily a year. 16 seasons. His name is Michael Orland. And he was the musical director, the vocal coach. He tours with Kristen Chenoweth. He tours with all the stars. There's not a celebrity he doesn't know or who he's not hanging out with, but he's going to give us some great stories about his time on American Idol, so you don't want to miss that show. Again, go to questionrealityradioshow.com and look at the 2024 schedule. So, that is it for my intro. Now we're going to get into the fun part of the day, which is talking about the guest this exciting guest that we have on here today, I'm sure you've gotten the flyer. His name is Michael Fisher. He is the CEO of Inyani Corporation, which is a global film concert production company. And the website is INYANI Corp, that's CORP.com. Also, you can find him on LinkedIn. And I'm sure if you Google him, you can find him everywhere. He is, again, the global CEO of Inyani Corporation. And he's had a distinguished career in the music industry, playing such a pivotal role in shaping and disseminating the vibrant African American culture worldwide. And he did this by developing international urban music and in the film market. And he was, now this is very, very exciting for you music lovers out there. He previously served as co-CEO of Da Joint Communications, Inc., alongside with Roy I never know how to pronounce his last name, Roy Cormier or Cormier. We're going to have to find out. But he had deep roots in early Def Jam recordings and Rush artist management. And Michael Fisher and Cormier, I just call him Cormier. I like that, the French version. Cormier orchestrated the production and the marketing and the sale of numerous concerts in stadiums and arenas across Europe and Brazil. Now, wait to be dazzled. They internationally promoted and produced artists and their portfolios, which includes these music icons. Are you ready? Are you ready? Public Enemy from Def Jam, Mary J. Blige, love her so much, from Uptown Records, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. I don't know if he's got another name by now. I haven't been keeping up. From Bad Boy Entertainment, and the then labeled heavy metal outfit Body Count. So it just, my God, it's just, his bio is probably like 250 pages long. I tried to get it down as short as I could for you, but they've got so many exciting things that are happening now. They got many developments that are going on in the United States and Europe and South Africa. And I believe, and I could be wrong because I don't know if I got this right, but I think they got a stadium concert either happening or happened, or building a stadium, I'm not sure, in Dusseldorf, Germany. I guess it was being developed. Oh, you know what? It hasn't happened yet. It's being developed for the late summer of 2024. So that hasn't happened yet. So we got our answer to that question. He's got 2 new movies that are in development in South Africa for 2024. And they have offices in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Miami, London, Johannesburg, Seoul, Korea. Oh, and the list goes on and on. But we're going to just bring him in and let him get started. I don't want to tell the whole thing. The show will be over. And it's like, okay, Michael was here and now he's gone. He left his name to carry on. So without further ado, let's bring in Michael Fisher. Yeah. What's going on over there? Why have I embarrassed you? You're like, oh, hell, get me off this show. There are so many more things I could be doing right now. What are you thinking, Michael? What's happening? What are your thoughts? Let's share them. I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm vibrant, you know. You have to be exuberant and vibrant in this business if you're a performer, right?
Yeah, you broke down my bio pretty well. It's actually 323 pages. but yeah. So yeah, these are some of the things we did, you know, and you mentioned Roy Cormier. Roy Cormier is
okay.
Yeah, actually, it should be Cormier.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's the way it reads. Damn it!
His family is from Louisiana originally.
Oh, yeah. So that would be that French.
But you know, it's Cormier.
Cormier.
He's a wonderful guy. You know.
Well, how did that relationship start with you working with him and developing the Def Jam arena?
Well, it's like this. I was in Germany for a while because my mother was German, my father was from Harlem, so I grew up between Germany and Harlem, and I was going to law school over there. So I wasn't a German citizen at the time. So now I'm dual. So I couldn't work. I only could study, and I'm a grown man. So I decided to throw parties in the university dining hall. And the other people did that, and I made some money with it, and
paying for the parties.
And then I said, oh wow, in order to compete, I have to bring in some kind of novelty or artist. And at that time, hip hop was developing. This was like the mid '80s, beginning '80s, something like that. And so I was able to get in contact with some hip hop artists like Curtis Blow, and bring them over. And that just developed, and then eventually I came back to the States and walked into a meeting with some in Harlem, and there was a gentleman named Kwame Olatunji. Kwame Olatunji I knew from when he went to Harvard, I went to Yale, and he introduced me to a guy named Raheem Dees, and Raheem Dees introduced me to his partner, Roy Cormier. This was like in 1984, 85, something like that. Roy and I hit it off pretty well already. He, at that time, was involved with Rush Artist Management and a Def Jam. He was managing Houdini for Rush Artist Management. And Rush Artist Management was, and Def Jam was an extremely chaotic place. So, but it was a lot of fun. And, I started hanging out there, and we just decided we're going to go in, because hip hop wasn't as developed overseas yet, that we were going to go and promote hip hop overseas. So one of the things I did is I walked into the Def Jam office, which was on Elizabeth Street at the time, and past the receptionist. Yeah, she lives here in LA now, and sat at a desk behind a gentleman named Bill Adler. And he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, well, I'm taking over all your international stuff." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." And then Russell Simmons walked in and was like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm doing all your international stuff." He said, "Yeah?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay." So that was that. So I did that for a while, until a gentleman named Leora Cohen came by and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm doing all your international stuff." He said, "No, you're not." I said, "Well, call Russell." So he went and called Russell, and 15 minutes later, I get a call from Russell. He goes, "Yo, Michael, I'm sorry." I said, "No worries, don't worry about it." No. So, but we developed a great relationship, and we ended up doing a lot of Def Jam's acts overseas, Roy and myself. And, we also developed a record company and all kinds of stuff. We managed a number of artists, like Easy Mo, and producers like Easy Mo D, people like that. So it was an exciting time, the 80s, it was a very exciting time.
Was that when you first, because I can't remember when Mary J. Blige came in on the scene. Was that during the time when you met her?
Well, no, that was in the 90s.
I thought it was the 90s that I heard of her.
Yeah, no, by that time, we were kind of established. You see, Uptown Records is a offshoot from Def Jam. A lot of companies are offshoots from Def Jam. Okay. So Andre Harrell was a vice president who ended up founding Uptown Records, was the vice president at Def Jam, and, got the support of Russell and everyone else at the time. and who was at MCA Records at the time? I forgot the gentleman's name. And he set up Uptown Records on Warren Street in Brooklyn, which wasn't too far from where we had our office. And it became a whole different incubator of different types of hip hop. The more slick hip hop, the more slick R&B. You had Guy over there. You had You had Puffy there as an intern. I remember when he was an intern over there. Puffy had Sean Combs, which is P. Diddy now. Again, this was a really exciting time. Everybody was, hanging out and having fun, and
what was the most exciting thing that you can remember? Because you had just you were relatively new in that field, I would imagine. And what was the most exciting? I'm sure that everybody is exciting to meet in that industry, but when you first started, who was the first person that was very exciting to you to meet as a musical artist? You're like, wow, you've gone on to meet so many more, but who can you remember was the first one you met?
There's been so many. I've met hundreds of them. It's I can't say, but one thing I can say is that the most brilliant, aside of course from Chuck D and them, is Ice-T.
I love him.
He's the most brilliant artist and person I have ever met. Aside from myself, of course. So.
Of course, I love him for watching him every week on Law and Order, but Special Victims Unit. But I even liked his music back then. I heard a couple of them. I'm not going to say I'm a hip hop, R&B dictionary, but I can spit some I Need Love from LL Cool J at you. I know Salt and Pepper, yo, 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 baby, pop, come. I just remember the ones that were getting a lot of radio play and doing the crossover market. How was it back then when you first started getting the hip hop genre in the crossover markets, getting...
That's a very good question, and that's relevant to the film industry today. So this is the situation you had in Europe, and particularly in Germany. Germany, Austria, Switzerland was the largest market in Europe. And unfortunately, the record labels there were very skeptical of African American and Black music in general. Even though it was highly popular, but they didn't really know how to market it. So what they would generally do, and that went across the board from BMG to Warner Brothers to Sony, etc., they would wait for an artist to blow up in the United States, and then go and try to sell records. So, but we had a different approach. We were locked in with the people on the street, people that did the parties, the fans, and European fans in particular are very, very loyal. They look at, they know everything about the artist, right? Even more so than here. So we had people that were in the streets, that were in the clubs, that were throwing parties, et cetera, et cetera. So we kind of knew who was popular, And I'll give you an example. One time, well, this is later in the 90s, but take Keith Sweat, for example. We decided we were going to do Keith Sweat in Europe, and particularly in Germany, and put them in about 5,000 capacity venues, medium-sized venues. The problem was that the record company only had sold 25,000 albums, right?
Yeah.
So the German record company calls Sylvia Rohn, who was the head of Elektra Records at the time. It's like, oh my God, these guys from the joint, they're going to ruin this artist. This is crazy. What are they doing? And we're like, no, but Sylvia called me. It's like, Michael, what are you doing? I said, don't worry about it. It'll be okay. And we brought Keith Sweat over there, and we've filled up the venues and did more. That's because we had, and we ended up having to do a lot of the work that record companies used to do promotion-wise. We had to do it. So we helped, build that market overseas. So
how did you build it? Did you go in the clubs, pass out flyers, say, hey, get your friends to come to the club? How did you specifically?
Yeah, that's what we did, stuff like that. Or like we also operated in Brazil. We had affiliate companies in Brazil. So one day, and Roy and I, we used to live in Brooklyn, had our office there too, and we would walk across Brooklyn Bridge all the time, all the way into Manhattan, just to, think. That's when I was nice and slim and,
Right.
So, and Roy had introduced a lot of hip hop into Brazil. He brought Houdini over there, all that kind of stuff. So one day we decided, we said, we should bring Public Enemy to Brazil.
Yeah.
And this was like 89, 90, but nobody knows Public Enemy over there. So yeah, but it's a large, Brazil has a very large Black population. It's larger than the population here in the United States. And we said, they might want to hear Public Enemy. So we called the promoter up down there, a guy named Mauricio, Black man. We said, hey, we want you to, and he controlled 5 radio stations in Sao Paulo.
Oh.
He said, hey, we want you to pay Public Enemy. He said, Public Enemy? What is Public Enemy? Don't worry about it. We'll send you all the material. So he went and played Public Enemy for a year on these stations. Yeah. So you see, we couldn't rely on the record companies to do it because the record companies didn't know how to promote these artists, right? And then after a year, we paid Public Enemy to go down there. We paid them we did 2 stadium shows in a place called Campinas in Sao Paulo. It was sold out. We priced them at about $3, so the people from the favelas, where the poor areas where people live, come and see them. And it was a total success. People loved them, and it started hip hop, conscious hip hop in Brazil. So the whole movement started there. So we were able to, with this music, influence a lot of stuff. With Public Enemy, we did crazy stuff, like we did a tour with Public Enemy, Ice-T, and Tupac was supposed to be on it. He couldn't make it because he had been arrested, and Ice Cube couldn't make it, unfortunately. But we did a tour in Europe shortly after that, and took them all the way into Croatia.
Oh wow!
During the Civil War.
Wow, really?
And do you know that they actually stopped the Civil War for a day? Just to watch. Yeah, so you had people in Zagreb coming from all sides of the war. Of course they had like tanks and all that stuff outside the venues, etc. But there was peace for a day, and they all came to see Public Enemy. And boom. So we were able to make some impact.
You saved some lives that day for sure.
Well, PE did, not me.
Well, you guys together as a team.
Yeah, but it's so these are some of the artists we worked with. Teddy Riley, of course, was an exciting artist to work with. Blackstreet, I don't know, Drew Hill, but exciting stories. Let me think of
Ice-T. I want to hear Ice-T stories. I love him so much. He's so funny. I used to watch him. Not only did I watch him on Law, not only do I watch him, I think he's still there. But he also had a reality television show for a while with his wife, and they were so funny together. And I thought, now I'm getting to see his personality behind the scenes. He is so different than he is as the character. He's really, at least I think from the reality show, he's so funny. And I would love to hear more stories about him if you don't mind.
Well, I can tell you a story about Ice-T.
Oh, yay!
So we wanted to do Body Count. And at the time, Body Count had left Sire Records because of this Cop Killer album. So they had no record company, right? But we knew that they were popular.
Yeah.
So we contacted a friend of ours named Charlie Jam. He's passed, unfortunately. He was right here from LA. And we said, listen, can you bring us a Body Count? He said, yeah, we can do that. So we sent him some money to give to Ice-T a deposit, as you do as concert promoters. I said he's going to come. So we guaranteed them like 10 shows, 10 major shows. And they came over and they told us that, wow, on these few days, we made more money with you guys than we did with these other agents we had before. But we're not agents, we're promoters. We said, okay. So normally when I deal with a lot of artists, like I introduced them and, I introduced myself in the beginning of the tour. I say, here's our tour manager. Then I disappear until the end of the tour if I'm there. Because a lot of artists are,
temperamental. Yeah.
Yeah, let me put it this way, But with Ice-T, that dude was so brilliant. I sat in the bus with him and just traveled and just listened to the guy, right?
Yeah.
In any case, so he's doing all these shows. He did 10 shows, and then he's finished with these shows, and he said, "Yo, Michael, you got any more shows?" I said, "Well, you have fever." He was sick too. You have a fever. No. Don't you want to, stop going? No, I'm here. I want to work some more. So we set up another 10 shows in smaller venues. And actually, we repeated some of these venues. And then after the 10 shows were over, he's like, "Yo, Michael, you got some more?" I'm like, "Come on, man." So he did altogether 40 shows. And by the time we were finished with the major venues, he went into little clubs, right? Little clubs. And just had his people go, stand out front. The club might be 300 people, right?
Yeah.
And he had a gentleman named Mickey Benson and another guy named Al Patron stand there and collect tickets, right? And he would play the little clubs. He was the hardest working guy I have ever seen in my life.
Wow. That's
and then it turns out that he never received the deposit that we had sent him.
What?
And he still came.
Wow.
Well, it's all it was all between friends, but it's I found out later and Charlie, my man, but that's the way it was, and he still came. So he's one of the artists that has the most integrity,
professional.
So it's he's. So that's my story.
I'm so happy to hear that story because I idolized them so much. And you know what they say, be careful of meeting your idols because they could end up disappointing you, causing mental damage beyond repair. But it's so good to hear that he's what I thought he was. That's always good to know. So in the 80s, so how long did you work for Def Jam? Should I say, what's the proper way? Not records, organization? Maybe?
Well, I didn't really
because it's an offshoot, right?
Yeah, I didn't really work for them as such. I started to, and without money, right?
Yeah.
And then we set up an organization where we helped them develop their acts, but we made money on that. So we were a separate organization. We were called The Joint. So, we would, coordinate with them and the agency that they had at the time, an agency called Norby Walters Agency, which later became Famous Artist Agency. And then we dealt with ICM. That ICM used to use us a lot. They would just give us acts and say, "Yeah, go take them all over the place." Sometimes CAA. So we.
So it was in like a concert promotion arena.
Think of Live Nation.
Live Nation.
Only smaller.
Okay. And you did that for how many years before you decided, hey, I'm going to start my own company?
Well, that was my own company together.
Oh, it was. That was yours too. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, we
I thought you just
together.
got started and you were just like, okay.
No, we started it. Roy and I started, and there was a third person that came in, a young lady named Samantha Archibald, who is now the chief operating officer of Inyani.
Okay.
And one of the tour managers that we hired was a young lady at the time named Beatrice Davis. She was.
We love me.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I needed somebody to, I think it was Redhead Kingpin or something like that. Some artist out of Chicago that we needed. They were touring, and I'm not sure whether she picked up the phone or I heard of this German woman working there. And I said, well, would you be interested in being a tour manager? And she ended up being our tour manager for several years. And, she knows more about our tours than I do.
Wow.
So ask her.
So I understand that you started Inyani in 2021. So you were doing more or less what we talked about from the beginning, from when you graduated from Yale until 2021. So 2020 happens. COVID is rampant.
Exactly.
What the hell's Michael Fisher doing?
So this is what happened. I actually had to shut down the company around 2006, 2003 to 2006 because I got divorced.
I see.
And I had physical custody of our daughter.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in joint legal custody, but I had physical custody. That meant, and she was very minor, and at the time, that meant that my lifestyle meant that my work meant that I had to travel internationally all the time. And I couldn't do that once I had a daughter. I lived in Atlanta at the time, so I had to shut down everything for 10 years until she grew up.
Oh, wow.
Well, it was.
That's
it was
great. Oh, having your dad for 10 years, that's like the best thing ever.
Yeah, well, but it hurt. It hurt economically.
Of course, it hurt you financially, but I'm thinking the child.
But I got a great appreciation of what single women have to go, single mothers will have to go through. Although I have to say that the support system that's out there for single mothers, it doesn't exist for single fathers.
Yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately. True. In any case, so my daughter finally grows up. I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to get back in the business.
Right.
And in the meantime, you have, Live Nation coming in with, Michael Rapino and Live Nation. And, actually, the precursor to Live Nation wanted to buy us at one point in time, but, Michael kind of changed his mind. But so here it is. And I said, okay, let me concentrate on doing festivals, right? So I got back in, called our local promoters. They're like, "Oh, you're back!" I was very happy that they were happy to see me. So that was good. So we started putting together 3 festivals. One in Düsseldorf, Germany, in this stadium called the Merkur Stadium, and another one that I was doing for the. There's a thing called Harlem Week in New York every year. It's a big festival sponsored by the Harlem Arts Alliance and others. And so they asked me to do an overseas edition. So we were doing that as well. Then we were doing a smaller festival for a city in Germany called Heidelberg. And then and this was all, well, the main festival, Düsseldorf, was fully financed, everything, and we were ready to go. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So everything fell apart. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what am I going to do next, right? Then I remembered an old friend of mine, a guy, he's also unfortunately passed, a guy named George Jackson. He had produced a movie called, come on, what's wrong with me?
You're sleepy.
Huh?
You're sleepy. It's late.
No, it's not that late. That's I'm just getting old. That's all.
You're having a
New Jack City. He produced a movie named New Jack City. He had asked us a long time ago to go into the film business, right? And I had looked at the business. I'm like, I don't know, man. This. What do you want me to do? Yeah, well, do the distribution and produce some movies. And I'm like, I looked at it. I said, nah, it doesn't make any sense. All these thousands of theaters with a few hundred seats each, or maybe 1,000 seats each, and then you never know where they pay you, and then you got to give them 50%, and it's just too. It just doesn't make any sense compared to what we do. And then as far, but produce movies. I said, yeah, but then the financing, you got to, 95% of movies fail, so you got to give, investors snow jobs, to tell them this and this is going to happen. And of course, it's 95% of the time it's not. That screws with my reputation. Now I'm going, no, that's okay. I'll turn it down. So, but in the meantime, you had the advent of Netflix.
Yes.
Amazon and the streamers. So now all of a sudden, instead of having thousands of theaters, right, you have basically one theater, better say you have one distributor that outputs everything to a whole bunch of theaters that are in people's homes, because you have bigger and bigger screens and they want more and more cinematic quality, So I'm like, And that kind of sounds like what we used to do in terms of, concert touring.
Right.
So I said, the most important thing in this is our stories, IP. And, I talked it over with some friends and we looked at what's out here in Hollywood in terms of the stories. And we're like, I don't know. A lot of these stories are like the same. Just one is blue, one is green, one is yellow. Why is it? And it appears that a lot of the writers go watch old movies and then
rehash it, regurgitate, I like to say.
And then it also appeared that a lot of the stories were very localized, like in a silo. It's like people in Hollywood and even Germany, they talk about their stories, but they don't really interconnect them. You see?
Yeah.
So we had the luck that we had operated internationally all the time. So we could tell stories from Brazil. We can tell stories from Brazil, how they relate to Germany, how they relate to the United States, et cetera, right? So I'm like, okay, let's see whether we can develop these IPs. And then we'll go to the streamers and either they want to buy it or they don't want to buy it,
Right.
But we have to set up a whole production company around that. And for some reason, we grew very quickly. It's like, we had a number of partners, and then we shrank the partners down to 5. It's 5 partners. We're pretty much, I have a teeny little bit more shares than the others, but not much, really, truly. So it's 3 women and 2 men. That's what it came down to. So the company is majority owned by women. One from South Africa, named Pulana Shuman. One, Samantha Archibald, who's our COO. Another, she's Afro-Latina. Then we have an African-American woman named Tara Bennett-Smith. She owns part of it. Then there's a gentleman from the UK. His name is Mervyn Lynn. And then there's me. So it's 5 of us, and we've developed these things, fairly rapidly. Yeah.
And I know your headquarters is here in LA. I wonder if we're neighbors. Where are you?
Well, we are very modern. So most of us, we kind of operate out of our homes.
Right.
So to say offices as such right now is I hate spending rent on big offices when you don't.
And you don't need to. Everybody's working out of their home these days. Why would you?
We do have an actual office in South Africa.
Yeah, I was reading all of the offices, and I was wondering if every one of the people they're in different parts of the world.
Seoul is actually being developed. One of our C-suite members is from Korea, and she's developing it over there. So she's between LA and Seoul, back and forth. But everybody else is everywhere else. Like Beatrice is our chief marketing.
Chicago.
She's in Chicago, and we're developing Germany, of course. And we have an actual UK subsidiary that works in the UK, and we have a subsidiary in South Africa, and we now have
Seoul, Korea, right? Something.
Seoul, Korea. That's being developed, and as I said, that's our. Actually, the head of our technology division, Chrissy Choi, she's between Seoul and here all the time. So she's like, oh, I'm going to set up I'm setting this up in Seoul. I'm like, okay, cool. So put it in there. I said, okay, cool. But
So
yeah, go ahead.
you have the stadium concert in Dusseldorf is right now. It's being developed, and is it going to open in the summer 2020?
No, that's a misunderstanding. There's a stadium in Düsseldorf called the Merkur Arena. In Germany, arenas are stadiums, and so it's a large modern soccer stadium. It has a 66,000 capacity, and it's owned by the city of Düsseldorf. The city of Düsseldorf is like in the northwest of Germany. It's a very prosperous city, near Cologne. And that stadium is being managed by a company called D Live, which is a wholly owned company, wholly owned by the city of Düsseldorf, run by a gentleman named Michael Brill. And Michael is a long time acquaintance. And Michael asked us to see whether we could develop some festivals in this stadium. But they also, by the way, they own and operate a 14,000 capacity arena and a 7,000 capacity hall, and then a smaller hall. They run everything in Düsseldorf. So we said, okay, we'll do that, and we're working on a festival right now, which commemorates the 30th anniversary of the abolition of apartheid. But we're doing that here. We're doing that in Düsseldorf. We're doing for September. We're doing that in Johannesburg in the F&B Stadium. It's about 100,000 capacity, the stadium, and in Washington D.C. And we're looking at Nigeria and Brazil as well.
And any artists that you could tell us about, or
not yet, because we're talking to UTA and CAA about it.
Okay.
So
you're getting the artists all lined up. Got it.
Well, which we have to first had to get the sponsors, because this has to be financed. So we've got some anchor sponsors, and now of course our sponsors are like, oh yeah, that's great. Now get us some artists as well. So this is an ongoing thing. So it's there's a saying in the concert business, none's real till the money's in the bank.
That is so true.
So the money's not in the bank yet. So we're still in development stages, but everybody's pulling very hard. The South African venue is pulling very hard, supporting us. The German venue is pulling very hard and supporting us. And then in Washington D.C., the company that owns, better say that runs Washington D.C.'s venues for the government of D.C. It's called Events D.C. They're rooting for us. They're working very hard. So we're all working very hard to make this a reality, to make sure that we can celebrate this step forward in the fight against this some more ugly forms of racism.
Yeah, it just seems like it's so overwhelming, and that you would need a small army to actually get it done. I mean, from inception to fruition, I just think I see hundreds and hundreds of people. Do you really need that many people, or what are the core people that you need to make a music festival happen? Like really, and they hire who amount.
Yeah, well, there are two things about this festival. There's a lot of turmoil happening politically right now, because of the Middle East situation. So what we're doing is we're trying to make sure that we're restricting this whole issue to actual apartheid rather than going above and beyond into all kinds of other fields of politics and so on that would disunite people, because the anti-apartheid movement was very broad, from African Americans and Africans to Jewish Americans to actually Jewish Americans played a very, very major role in this, and we want to keep it broad like that, rather than, so that's what we're doing. As far as how to execute this, what actually happens is that a virtual company is built. So what you have your core,
Yeah.
and then you hire different companies to take on different tasks, or in Düsseldorf, for example, D-Live executes most things, right, in cooperation with us, and they hire certain people, and then, we have somebody, we have a whole team in Germany that we've had for many years that supervises everything, but it's like you put together like Lego, it's like you put together here somebody and here somebody. So all of a sudden, for the duration of that, you have a gigantic interlocking company made up of different corporations or smaller companies and bigger companies, that do marketing, that do the actual, setup, that do the all the aspects of it. It's kind of a complicated process. And then once it's over, everybody, goes home. Into the next,
I would recommend that you go to business school and learn how to do this. It's a little harder.
Actually, you can't learn it in business school.
You graduated from Yale. What was your degree in?
I had a BA at Yale University in sociology, history, and economics.
Did you want to go into another field initially? Would you?
Yeah, I went back to Germany, went to law school. But I went to law school because I didn't know what to do with my life. I still don't know what to do with my life.
Well, you can't go wrong with a law degree. You always know when something's right and something's wrong, and what you can do and what you can't do because you know the law. So you can't go wrong with that.
It helped me to think and analyze.
Yes.
And the good thing about Germany at the time was, and still is like that pretty much, is that university is completely free in Germany.
Wow.
Even for foreigners. In fact, for German students get a stipend called BAföG. They get a stipend for 4 years so they don't have to, so they can pay their rent and eat.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Well, they see that their main capital is their people.
I'm glad they think about that. Now, what's going on? Because obviously you're doing research of some sort. So you decided in 2021 to open Inyani, and what kind of research did you do as far as figuring out like the market trends and who your audience was? Because there's Netflix. There were still so many other streaming platforms other than Netflix. What made you decide specifically to focus on Netflix?
Well, we're not.
What did they have?
We're not specifically focused on Netflix.
At 2021.
Yeah, I'm just saying that they provided an example that was very interesting, and of course you have Amazon Prime, you have you have the other streamers that are coming online. You have streamers in all over the world that are competing for this market. It's simple. I see Netflix and Amazon. They are similar to the festivals, to a Lollapalooza or a Bonnaroo or whatever these festivals are.
Yeah.
What they do is they tell people, listen, buy tickets, subscriptions, right? And we'll supply artists for you, just like you buy a ticket ahead of time,
right?
For Lollapalooza or whatever, because it's going to be great, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't come up with interesting artists,
they're going to another.
Festival is dead. You see what I'm saying? So these streamers basically operate on the same principle. They promise that they will give you great, or and they have to give you great.
They have, especially
otherwise people eventually going to say, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Great, ever increasing, more and more interesting entertainment.
That's right.
Because people are like, okay, this was exciting. Now give me something more exciting. You see?
Right. Which is what they developed. They started doing their original content, which I found was just so exciting, because whoever the people are over there at Netflix and Amazon too, Amazon Prime, they're really bringing exciting I feel, exciting original content. And I love it because, as you were saying earlier, things are just getting stale. By 2020, things were so stale. And I really felt that Netflix and all the streaming platforms, really, they had such a boon happen in 2020 when COVID hit, because we were not going around anybody like, get the hell out of here. I'm not going to the movies. I'm not going. So you were at home and you were watching Netflix. So I can imagine they were in hog heaven because everybody was watching streaming content then. And they really, really blew up. And I have seen so many other streaming platforms. As a matter of fact, now, in my personal opinion, it's getting too much. There's too many. I start watching something on Netflix and then it's like, okay, I'm going to go Prime Video. Oh, wait a minute. There's Pluto, and then there's Tubi, and then there's Disney Plus, and every one of them charges a fee. I have a friend and a cousin that's paying over $600. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? But they have to have the sports packages and this and that. But it's just getting, there's so many. And what's happening is that they keep raising the prices. I think Netflix is now up to $18 now or something. I can't.
15 something, I believe.
It's just so much.
But see, the thing is,
they should be lowering their prices, shouldn't they?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Why do they do that?
Well, see, this is the thing. Well, they're under pressure from Wall Street, apparently. But this is the thing. Netflix has about 250 million subscribers or so, which is actually a drop in the bucket because we have 8 billion people on the planet, right? So they have a lot of room to expand, and so does Amazon, everybody else. However, we're talking about culture. So the things that are produced have to translate internationally.
Yeah.
Not everything that is produced in the United States translates into China or whatever else, and not everything produced over there translates over here. However, there are universal themes that people are interested in. So, for example, take Black genre, right? So the Black genre here is confined mostly to, you have what we call trauma porn, which is, a lot of, slavery movies. And then you have, the gangster movies, right? But you don't have things that like international Jason Bourne, James Bond type movies, for example, right? And based on real events that happened, you see, because since Black people live all over the place, they have certain experiences, and European audiences in particular are really interested in what's going on. For example, when we were promoting urban and Black culture in Europe, and that just happened to be something we fell into. We also did, the Tubes and other, rock artists. It turned out, that at the time, Germany, for example, was 98% white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they just ate everything up.
Yeah.
Everything up that came out of the United States and out of Jamaica, etc. Not the nonsense, but the quality.
Yeah.
Quality music. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and people all over the world are fascinated by American and in particular African American culture. Right? But it also turns out that people are fascinated by Chinese culture, like, Red Cliff, these type of movies, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can develop something that appeals to everybody without being shallow, so that you appeal to the different silos in the different countries, but tie it up internationally as well. That's kind of our business model as far as our IPs are concerned.
Yeah.
So we develop we develop things that also have, casts, that are from the States, from Europe, from the UK, from South Africa, all well-known art actors in our projects, and we make sure everything meshes correctly,
How many films have you produced so far?
We haven't produced anything. Well, what we have, we've got some TV shows in South Africa. Like we just put licensed a TV show, our sister company did, to Netflix, which is supposed to come out on March 7th. But you got to remember, we're 1.5 years old, 2.5 years old.
Yeah.
So we're in the beginning stages, and we're negotiating one particular with a major streamer. They're interested in one major, like this thing I told you about that we're doing, kind of a James Bond, Jason Bourne type thing. We're talking to them. It's a big budget movie. Maybe they'll do it, maybe not. We'll see. When the money's in the bank, but they did contact us and say, listen, we want to see what you're doing. So,
what's up?
Huh?
I said, what's up?
Yeah, so so we're looking at.
Are you giving me, show me the money, or what? What's happening now?
And the other thing you have to understand about our company is we're not a startup company, we're an aggregator. So
explain that to people who don't understand that.
Okay. So what happened was these are all veterans from the entertainment business and corporate development business that came together and decided to set something new up. Mm-hmm. So we're not like newbies to the business.
Yeah.
We combined our networks and our experience to set something new up, and we're kind of an aggregator. So we aggregate our experiences, our networks, and we're kind of so more and more people come to us. And we also have an attitude of we're not like afraid that people will take things from us, right? So we encourage working with others and helping them set themselves up globally, because there's an ocean of a market out there.
Yeah.
The Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean put together, and right now we're operating like in the Mediterranean, if at all,
I was just thinking while you were talking, I digress, but I wanted to know, because you were right there in Germany during the time, and I apologize if I'm asking this and you're like, what the hell is she talking about? But you would probably be the only person that I could ask this question. Were you there during the time that, and I forget his last name, but it was the guy, the genius behind Milli Vanilli, Frank Galati, maybe?
No, Frank Farian. Actually, yes. And actually, I knew Frank very well. And I knew Rob and Fab very well. And I have a story for you if you want.
I love them. I'm so sad. Okay, tell me a story.
So we used to have an office in Munich.
Yeah.
And we had a very good relationship with AIRDATE Records in general, and in Germany in particular, and with Monty Lüftner, who was the head of BMG, and with Frank. So Frank had these two kids, Fab and Rob, they used to hang out in our office in Munich. So they put on this thing, right? And at the time, Frank Farian was known for developing great pop records and music with other people. Like he had and then put other people in front, like Bonnie M. There was a group called
Baha. Oh, I love them. Yeah.
So everybody knew what was going on. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not like
really.
Yeah. So Milli Vanilli came over here one day, and I was, and we had a good relationship. So I went to a particular agent's. I had an agent. A particular agent had Milli Vanilli. So I went to that agent's office to talk to him about another act named Will Downing. And he said, yeah, give it so and so and so. And then a few hours later, I went to Will Downing's manager's office. And the manager, And as I'm sitting there, there's a fax that comes in, and it says, "Oh, Michael Fisher was over here." And then he goes to the fax machine, looks at the fax, shakes his head, gives me the fax, and the fax says, "Michael Fisher was here. He wants Will Downing. Don't give him Will Downing." I said, "Oh, okay." So I said, "That's interesting. Thank you, Bruce." The manager's name was Bruce. I then went to a rival agent, a guy named Jerry Ade. He ran a famous artist agency, which was the successor to the other agency called Norby Walters Agency. Norby just died a few weeks ago, actually, unfortunately. So I said, "Listen, would you like to have Milli Vanilli?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." I said, "Okay." I said, "Come with me." So we went down to the Mayflower Hotel in New York, at Central Park. And I introduced him to Milli Vanilli, and I said, "Listen, Rob Fab, this is your new agent." And they go, "Oh yeah, okay, thank you." I said, "Okay, cool." And he took them to see Patti LaBelle.
Yeah.
And and they were like really impressed. And then boom, he became Famous Artist Agency became Milli Vanilli's agents.
Really?
And that's
I just watched a documentary on Milli Vanilli, and I'm trying to remember their names. But
Rob and Fab. Rob Pilatus.
Oh no, not the Milli Vanilli.
Fab
The names you were just saying, who were their agents? Because I was trying to remember who it was that. Okay, so the guy, the real vocalist behind the scenes. I didn't know who to believe, and I'm so glad that you're clearing that up, because I tended. It was from the perspective of the living. Is that Milli or Vanilli? The living Milli Vanilli. Which one is that one?
Fab Moran is still alive. Rob unfortunately committed suicide.
Yeah. So it was from his perspective, and he said exactly what you were saying. Everybody in the music industry knew that Frank was famous for having his artists lip sync, and then they talked a little about the Boney T and Boney M, and I was like, I really believe this guy. Then you had the other executives being interviewed in the record label. We had no idea that these two were lip syncing, and I'm like, no, I believe the Milli Vanilli guy.
Well, I don't know whether they knew or not. I knew, because I knew Frank. I don't know whether their agents over at Famous Artist Agency knew. I have no idea. I just and nobody really talked about it. And besides that, it wasn't a big issue.
Right.
The main question was, did people enjoy the music? And
yes, we loved it. Yeah.
But enjoy the images. You see what I'm saying?
What was happening? What was happening was that the guys behind the scenes, the vocalists, they said that they were really feeling, and the guy was honest. He said, we really felt envious and jealous that it was our voices, and yet we're not getting the money that they were getting. We're not getting the laurels and accolades. We're not getting the recognition. So they let the people, and they signed, the NDAs, and yet they got people behind the scenes saying, you know what, man, do an interview, tell them. And so apparently an interview was done with the actual artist, but it was all swept under the carpet. Nobody cared. It was only when, and you can quote me because you know better than me, but I believe it was when they won a Grammy that everyone in the industry got very angry about that. And that's when it ended for Milli. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, it was unfortunate that they got nominated for a Grammy, and apparently they won. It was a guy that was a promotion guy or something like that, a record company that did it. That he wasn't supposed to do that.
It was an accident. Yeah.
It was. Look, this is what was happening. Everybody got paid. Nobody got the gun pointed to their head, right? Rob and Fab were not the greatest singers in the world. They got to live a great lifestyle,
Yes.
you know, and the audience enjoyed the music. I mean, that,
yes,
you
and
know,
the
in fact,
dancing.
I think after this thing was revealed, the record sales even went up. So,
Yes, it did. You're right. That's
so,
what they said in the
so, you
documentary.
know, and at the end of the day, as a concert promoter, I used to, you know, look there and I always ask, you know, the artist, who do you think the star is here?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, better say the entourage of the artist. Who do you
Right.
think the star is here? Oh, our act is so and so. I said, no, the audience is the star, right?
That's right.
And it's the same thing in terms of who buys the music. It's the same thing in the film business, by the way. You know, if you don't satisfy the people, you know, they're just not gonna, you know, it doesn't matter. So in the case of Milli Vanilli, everybody was happy.
Oh,
It's just then that,
yes.
you know, then there was this ruckus, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I felt so bad for Rob, you know,
Yes.
and he shouldn't have taken it that bad. But you know, they trampled on these guys, and by the way, it was Frank that admitted it. It's not, you know, he's the one that first came out with it.
Right.
And actually, you know, and they're making him to be, you know, evil incarnate. I can't say, you know, and you know, that would mean that Clive Davis was evil incarnate, and he was.
Yes, he was
So
participatory.
everybody got what they needed. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it is what it is. But
And I love them, and I was so upset because I said, "What? I mean, I'm not at the time. I wasn't even in the music industry, and I knew they were lip syncing because everybody had heard the rumors. You know, I had a friend who was a celebrity photographer and had shot an album cover for them, and already told me that. I said, I don't care. They're up there working their asses off. I mean, the energy they give a great show. They make the audience members happy. They're gorgeous guys. I don't care who's singing it. I bet you they're getting paid. Let's enjoy the music."
So what I have to say is that Clive Davis gave them a chance, and they got they got a nice living through it. You know,
They did, yeah.
Farian gave them a chance. They got a nice living through it. I don't see any, you know, bad guys in this particular.
No, me neither.
You know?
I don't know what's
the other thing is, I'm a concert promoter, so I've dealt with a lot of these artists, superstar artists, right? And I see who lip syncs and who doesn't lip sync on stage.
I mean, what did they think Elvis was doing on the Ed Sullivan Show? There's no band behind him. He's up there with his little microphone and his guitar. All of a sudden, you know, you're hearing a whole band sound. They were lip syncing. Of course they were. The Beatles lip sync on Ed Sullivan. There wasn't one artist that came on the Ed Sullivan Show that wasn't lip syncing. And all of a sudden, it's a problem when Milli Vanilli does it. I don't know how they created that to be the worst thing in the world, but it's amazing how yellow propaganda happens in the first place. But I was just shocked that people reacted so poorly about that. And still today, Michael, as you know, when people sing on shows, most of them are lip syncing. It's just crazy. But I'm so glad that at least the guy, the remaining Milli Vanilli guy, I actually heard at the end of the documentary, he was singing and performing a concert. He sounded good. I'm like, he must have been taking vocal lessons. I don't know, but he sounded really good. And he was singing live, so there was no lip syncing. And I was like, yes. But he's doing very well.
When you record albums, right, you have sound engineers, you know. They tweak your sound. So it's you know, you have to create products that are appealing to the people, you know, and that's it. By the way, I understand you told me that Ernest Thomas,
yes. No, give Ernest Thomas us a shout out. You
Ernest,
remember what's happening, Raj? He
Come
was
on.
in Roots. Remember him opposite LeVar Burton in Roots, and he was opposite Denzel Washington in Malcolm X. And oh God, you just go on IMDb.
I heard that he's watching this, and I'm so honored that he is. You know, I was a big fan of theirs and Fred Barry. You know, unfortunately he passed.
Yes.
Fred, by the way, did a short with a very talented actor and director named Tori Connor. She initially actually worked with us on Inyani. Unfortunately, she had to leave. She left but hopefully she'll be back. I did an incredible short with him. Fred Barry did some excellent work. And if you ever have time to look it up somewhere on the internet, I think you should go look. It's a short they did. I forgot, you know, maybe in the 90s or in the early 2000s, I think. Of course, she was very young at the time. Yeah, it's about Fred Barry plays a child molester.
Oh, so it was a film, or
yeah, it was a short film.
Okay.
It was very good, very emotional, you know. And of course he gets his due, you know, but yeah, so he had chops, he had dramatic chops. It wasn't just, you know, the comedy that he did.
Yeah.
He had definite dramatic chops. So I love that whole crew, you know, from that time. So thanks for watching, my man. Mm-hmm.
And did you ever, you obviously haven't met Ernest yet, but let's make that happen.
Actually, I think I ran into him. I'm not sure, but you know, I've been around for 40 odd years, so there's very few people that I haven't run into, you know. So.
That's true, and he is everywhere. He's starting. He's done so many projects, but what we were talking about on Saturday was that he is actually reprising his role as Mr. Omar in Everybody Hates Chris, because I don't know if you watched Everybody Hates Chris, but he played Mr. Omar, and he was personally chosen by Chris Rock himself.
Well, Roy and his crew produced Chris's first album, my partner. So, you know, Chris is part of our crew too.
Chris Rock?
I haven't talked to him in a long time, but.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. So you live in LA. Ernest is here in LA. You two have to do a lunch. And maybe he could star in one of your movies. There's so many things happening.
You know, we're always open to it. You know, it's definitely.
Well, let me know. Let me know, and I'll make it happen.
And I'm a newbie in LA. I mean, I used to fly to LA, and I used to be in LA on business like 3-4 days, and I'm like, you know, typical New Yorker. Gotta get back to New York, you know. But 2.5 years ago, I came out here, and I'm like, this is kind of nice. The weather's nice. Yeah, let me stay here. So I ended up here for now 2.5 years, and it's cool, you know. And New York is not what it used to be either. So you know.
It's been raining lately, like cats and dogs. But out here, I don't know if you've discovered this yet, but if there's 3 or 4 drizzles, people are like, "Oh my God, it's pouring outside! I can't drive." 4 drizzles. That's it. They're down for the count. They won't go out of the house. The ones that go, they're like this driving, and it's so funny to me, Michael.
Well,
I'm from the East Coast, and it's like we'd have snow 4 feet high, and that was nothing. I get the plow.
Exactly.
You know,
I lived in Atlanta for about 10 years, and I remember it must have been 2012 or something like that. There were like 3 inches of snow, and everything came to a halt. They had accidents all over the place. Highways were, you know, stuck. Everybody was stuck in the highways, and I'm like,
it's amazing. It cracks me up every time. I don't know how people, but when the sun comes out, oh my God, it's like their little flower buds and they come to life. And I, of course, hide because I'm highly allergic to the sun. So people say, why the heck did you ever move to LA? It's sunny all the time. I said, I have to go to UCLA. I got to become a producer. But I have a couple. So I'm going to, if you're serious, talk to B, and then we'll set up a lunch for just you and Ernest. Sure. And I know that'll be fun. Now, what do you feel there's so many questions I have for you, but I want to know if you could take anybody, I wrote this down specifically for you. If you could take anybody to advertise your new company, Inyani, which celebrity would you reach out to and why?
I haven't really thought about that.
Well, it could be Ernest. Well, you got to you got to get a celebrity because they got to be the face of Inyani, or at least a commercial.
Face of Inyani. I would, to tell you the truth.
That's different because that's a model. You'd think more of like a model, wouldn't you? But
I would say, well, there are two people.
Who?
That would be Denzel Washington.
Ernest can help you with that. There you go.
And then there would be a gentleman named Tyron Ricketts.
Oh, I don't know.
See, he's the Denzel of Europe, of Central Europe.
Oh.
He just put out a series on Hulu called Sam a Saxon.
Okay.
And he's up and coming. He's an incredible dude. So I would say those two guys, they really would mesh very well. And I think they would represent kind of the concept of what we're into.
And what do you think now?
Tyron is his father's from Jamaica, his mother's from so he's like me, African American and African and Jamaican, Austrian actually, but very talented dude. So those two, I would say.
And you, as we clearly know, you've met so many people, and so it's going to be hard to choose. But if you give me one person from the music business right now, not from the past, who you're like, hey, I really like their stuff. I think they're going to blow up.
Well, the person I think that's going to blow up, that already blew up, is I absolutely think Bruno Mars and his crew are like incredible.
I can't believe you said that. I was thinking when he came out with was it Silk Sonic? What's his?
Silk Sonic, yeah.
Yes. And they were doing. I thought, what a brilliant idea to do all that. Bring that back, that great 70s music, and they got the outfits and they got the moves. And every time I see him perform, I'm like, yes, Bruno. Plus, he is.
And in hip hop, I would say hands down, there's a lot of talented hip hop artists, but hands down it would be Kendrick Lamar.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
I like this stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, as far as
what about film, male and female? Who do you really love their work and you look forward to their next film? Who's a male star and then a female star?
Ooh,
there's so many new actors and actresses. It's kind of hard.
Actually,
or who you would like to be in your next film project. That's what we'll say.
Well, actually, the ones that we want to have in our next film project that I really enjoy, we already have. We have a gentleman named Sherman Augustus, who's an incredible actor. Then we have Antandwa Kani out of South Africa, who played in Black Panther. He played the young N'Challa, King N'Challa. He's in our project. He's attached. These are kind of, we've been Malik Yoba. I love Malik.
Oh, yeah.
Malik, actually Malik and Roy, they took me to celebrate my birthday one time in New York many, many years ago. I don't know whether Malik remembers. Boris Kojo, I like. He's interested in our project. It's hard to say. I think there's a lot of. I love Erica Alexander. She's on our project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you named some good
and
ones.
and now that I think about it, of course, Jeffrey Wright. Come on, he's incredible. There's so many great artists, and then of course, you have just so many.
There's too many. I know, it's so overwhelming. Now, you mentioned South Africa a lot. I imagine you've been, obviously. Do you know the artist that's going to be on my show in April? Lady Smith Black Mambaza. Do you know? Tell us about your experience there.
I met them. I met them in the '70s. Chabalala, I think he passed now. Was the head of it. I was very heavily in at Yale, and later I was very heavily involved in the anti-apartheid movement.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why we're doing this celebration thing, because people out of South Africa called us, knowing that we were involved in this in the '70s. I was one of the student leaders in the anti-apartheid movement, and the center of that was New York City. So you had a lot of South African exiles in South Africa, but also here in LA, you had a gentleman named Caiphus Semenya and his wife Letambulu. You had Hugh Masekela, Mary Makiba, all of whom I got to know, and Lady Smith Mambazo came over. I think a gentleman named Duma Ndlovu brought them here. And they were highly talented. I really enjoyed their music. I didn't, have too much interaction with them, but I certainly know who they are. And I met, So yeah, but this is the late '70s, early '80s. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, their documentary was nominated for an Oscar, I think, maybe last year or the year before. No, maybe it was 2020. I'm gonna have to find out about that. But Don, I just wanted to know if you knew them. I'm so excited to have them on the show. I hope you tune in so we can give you a little shout out.
Certainly will.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, obviously there are so many things that you are up to. You are up to everything. You got your little fingers in everything. What would you like to tell us that we should look forward to? What exciting stuff do you want us to keep an eye out?
In terms of what we're doing, or exciting things?
Well, music, the festival we talked about, that's exciting. How can we say, hey, I wonder what Michael Fisher's doing. What's going on with Inyani? Should we go to your website? Do you keep everyone updated on InyaniCorp.com, or where should we look?
Yeah, we have a few projects up on Inyani. Our chief content officer told me we can't put the whole decks up there, otherwise people would steal the ideas. So I'm
like, your ideas.
But we have a number of our projects, the cover pages of the projects that we're working on. A lot of it has to do with real events, but they're inspired by real events. They're dramas and thrillers. We have one that we're developing around the first president of Def Jam, Nana Ashurst, Carmen Ashurst. She's the one that actually built that whole organization. Without her, there would be no Def Jam today. That same seat that I kidnapped behind this gentleman named Bill Adler. When I left, she came in later as Bill Adler's assistant. He was the publicist, and within 1 year, she went from publicist assistant to president of Def Jam and built that company into a major conglomerate. By the time she left, when she first came, I think they had like 10 employees. By the time she left, they had like 300,
Wow.
And actually, the actual force behind Def Jam was a woman. Happened to also be a Black woman. But as it turns out, same thing with Inyani. It's the actual force behind Inyani are these three women, and and they're incredible. So it is behind a lot of that hip hop. There was in Def Jam, there was another sister named Heidi Smith that was very important from the very beginning. I think the role of women in the development of music, urban music, and music in general is really underestimated, including the corporate development. But Def Jam, definitely, without Nana Carmen Ashurst, there would be no Def Jam as we know today. There would be no Jay-Z. There would be no Rockefeller Records. There would be, because she created the basis for that,
Yeah.
and she did that in a, well, you know about the different rumors that are going on and the different accusations that are flying around, and I don't know. Unfortunately, it's a sad thing that these things happened apparently. But she worked in a highly masculine environment, so she worked in an environment that was often not so appreciative of females, and it was a kind of and there was a strong street element as well that she maneuvered. It's incredible. So we're developing a TV series based on that time period with as a producer. So that's just one of the things that we're doing.
That's going to be very exciting for so many people. That's a great concept, I think. I'm always thinking, what could be the next great idea for a project? And as you were telling me that, I was thinking, that is going to be so exciting for so many people. So I hope that you follow through with that and you get funding to make that happen, because that's going to be riveting.
Well, we also have something else we call it the Black Prince and the Nerd.
What? It's called what?
The Black Prince and the Nerd.
The Black Prince and the Nerd. What is that about? Okay, you can't tell us, can you?
So Roy Cormier's nickname was the Black Prince.
Okay.
And people always looked at me as the nerd. Because I was always in the background. I wasn't really the party guy. He was the party guy. I was the guy, I'm like the accountant.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
So it's about the adventures of two guys out of New York that promote concerts all over the world, and the things and the experiences they have, So and it's also inspired by that, but some of it is a lot of it is based on realities. The concert business at the time was very much cash and carry. So a lot of shady characters trying to break into it.
Wow.
So we had to deal with we had to deal with
you had to carry those Berettas and those Magnums 45 calibers. Keep that money on you, I bet.
Yeah, we used to carry a lot of money. Thank God those days are over.
Yes.
But artists want to be paid cash, and it's like,
well, yeah,
those days are over. Thank God.
Yeah.
But we would, you'd be, let's say, in Brazil. I don't know how much time you have, but I could just give you just about the Brazil. So we set up this show in Brazil, right, with Public Enemy. 2 major stadium shows. In order to do it, we put together 3 concert promoters, local concert promoters. And they were Black guys, right? The way things were at the time was that, Black guys with money in Brazil were gangsters generally.
Ah.
Right. So we set this up with them, and they did a great job. Then after everything was done, one of the guys was driving with his car somewhere through Sao Paulo, and the 2 other promoters stopped him, held him up for his money.
Oh,
but
terrifying.
it was forgive and forget, and they're still working together, But the way we had to deal with these guys is like, before that, one of them had they we had some act over there that we worked on together, and then they ended up owing us $1,500, right? And, oh, we send you the $1,500. I said, okay, so we're flying back to New York right now. We're there. 1 week goes by, no $1,500. Second week goes by, no $1,500. $1,500 is nothing, but it's like, yo, they haven't sent out $1,500. What are we gonna do? I said, Roy, we're flying to Sao Paulo. We're gonna collect us $1,500. Like, are you out of your mind? I said, we're gonna go down to Sao Paulo and collect our $1,500.
Yes,
Of course, it cost us $5,000 to just go there, but so we flew down there, and see, these are the type of things we can talk about in that series, right?
Yeah.
We walk up to the gate. It's like, have you ever seen Scarface?
Of course. Yeah.
All right, so it's like it's a townhouse equivalent of Scarface, right?
Oh, okay. Wow.
Like, who is it? Roy and Michael, the Black Prince and the Nerd. So we walk up in there. There's a whole crew of these guys up there. What you do here? I said, yo, man, you owe us $1,500. And they look at us. They're trying to decide whether, put a bullet through our head or whether to give us $1,500, right?
Oh!
And they're like, I mean, it wasn't quite that rash. I don't think so. But they're like, these guys are crazy, right? So they're like, okay. So they went in the back and came out with $1,500.
Oh.
And I said, okay, come on, let's go eat. And then we spent the $1,500 on dinner. And we went back home. And we never had any problems after that. You see, the thing is that worldwide, people always thought that, well, if these are Black guys and they're doing these big shows, they got to be gangsters, right? Which we're not.
Yeah.
But if you want to believe that, let them believe it. You see what I'm saying?
Let them believe it. What are you going to believe?
But it's we had really interesting incidents like that. People getting Drew Hill getting shot at in Paris, and this funny stuff too. It's.
Did you jot it down so that you can remember every time you remember something? Are you jotting it down?
Most of it is still up here, and it's in Roy's head. But we do. But it's people have told me so many times that I have to write a book, and it's true. Bia told me that too.
You should.
I said, then you got to give me a ghostwriter, because there's a lot. We did a lot of stuff,
Oh,
I didn't realize we did so much stuff.
I know people who own ghostwriting companies. So if you need somebody, now these are going to be the last two questions, and then we absolutely have to go. Okay, because I got to get some tips, advice, and resource information out to the people. Okay, so here's the questions that I got when I sent out the email flyer for you. Michael, what do you consider to be your greatest achievement as CEO of any company you've worked for?
I think my greatest achievement was being the CEO of my daughter. I think to make sure that she's healthy, that she I think my greatest achievement was me being a father. To tell you the truth, when she was born, my whole life turned around. Before she was born, I was, I'm in the music business, right? I'm a guy, right?
Right.
I was a philanderer and, do whatever and things, it was fun, and then my daughter was born, my whole life, my whole outlook on life changed,
Yeah.
And I think the fact that I hope I was a good father, I think that's my greatest accomplishment, tell you the truth, more than anything else.
And that was from, thank you, oh my God, that Sheila E. The Prince song flashes in my mind when I hear Sheila E. But Sheila E. from Newark, New Jersey. Thank you, Sheila. And the next question is from Tony from Bellevue, Washington. And he said, Michael, what is something you wish you had known before becoming a CEO that you can tell me now because that's what I want to be? Thank you.
I can tell you this. It is incredibly important that you choose the right life partner.
Both business and personally, or?
Personal life, you choose the right wife or husband, whatever you do. Because if they don't hold you down, and if they cause chaos or not, it's going to be very difficult building things up.
That's right.
You know? So you have to be very, very, you have to have your private life together as far as your partnerships are concerned. Unfortunately, you know, my ex-wife and I, we're not on good speaking terms. Well, I guess we are now, but you know, it's I found that, you know, that was the key. You know, for example, if I didn't have that 10 years that I had to raise my daughter on my own, you know, I might be Live Nation now, you see.
But everybody thinks, Michael, so let's get a little bit more detail. Everybody thinks when they meet a new romance or a new love interest or a new person that it's always butterflies and flowers and tingles and thrills. So you do think that that's the right person. Then it changes. What are some things that you can look for so that you can be sure? Now, I'm going to just throw it at you. I don't care what people think of me. I never have and I never will. I'm just going to say now, in this day and age, you have to, I know it's not romantic, but let me tell you, you've got to do a criminal background check. Pay that $1.99. Go on Google, run a criminal background check. I'm telling you, you don't know how many people I have run across personally who have been in relationships with people. They didn't take my advice. First of all, I'm like, get a prenup. But my second is do the criminal background check, because if you don't, you can really end up with a person who is a superior con artist. I mean, somebody that can make you believe anything. And when you're in that lust mode, you're not thinking about, oh my God, do they have any DUIs? Do they have this and that and this? You have to. I mean, once you feel secure in that, then you can open yourself up to love them even more. There's a little bit more loving that can happen. But if you're not sure, you don't know if you're being catfished or not. So that's my personal tip. You really have to check people. What's yours?
You're absolutely right. Now, Beatrice, who arranged this, had to drag me kicking and screaming into this. And that's not because I don't love you. I looked at your show. I love your show.
Thank you.
But the problem is that when you walking around and you become a celebrity, or even some close to it, especially in these times, but even then in the 80s and 90s, you don't know who is genuine. You see?
Right. That's right.
So you become, you know, and I thought I was an expert in women, but I found out I'm not, again and again.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I found out the hard way that women tend to be much smarter than men.
Yeah.
Right. No, in certain areas, because women, like, you know, we tend to be linear in our outlook, and women tend to be more, you know, they think about things that we're not even concerned about right now, you know. But so and in today's time with this, you know, you gotta have a high value man, and you know, and all these women are competing for the small percentage of men that have money or have looks, and it becomes all based on transactions, it's a tough thing, it's a tough thing, especially with somebody that's as ignorant about women as I am, as my daughter tells me,
Well, you might just be going for, like most men, they are also visual creatures. So you got to have someone that you look upon and it's attractive to you. And unfortunately, the most beautiful women do know that. They are aware of that. And some of them may not be wholesome in their endeavors of getting a husband. I have many, many, many celebrity friends. And the way I keep them is because I was instilled within me of, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I have a very good moral compass and I honor people and I respect people's privacy. And the way I'm able to have these celebrity friends, and people don't even know I have them, and I don't say I have them. And when I'm with them at their houses, I'm not taking selfies. I'm not, shooting video. I don't tell any of their business. I don't tell any of their stories. Everything is private. And that is a tip that I'd like to get out there today. If you are going to pursue a career in the entertainment industry, like Michael said, he had to be like, just drugged by his heels to do the show today. And it's because he's been in a world, and for those of you who aren't in it yet, when you get to a celebrity status, you are very cautious of who comes into your house. Like I throw a Grammy party at Jamie Foxx's house, right? And he was so gracious and kind and to let me have it there for his friend Amy. But at the same time, he had his guy vet everybody that I was bringing who were my friends. And I expected that. That's just normal. So don't be offended by that. That's just something that if you're smart, you're not going to let people in your house, right? So when you're dealing with people like Michael at his level or celebrities, don't be offended if they're like asking questions about you, vetting you, checking you out. That's just the normal thing. So don't be offended by that. So that's my little tip for you today. But Michael, my God, it has been an honor. And I hope that you don't feel too bad now that Beatrice talked to you and coming on the show.
No, not at all.
I had fun with you.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed you. It's like I was a little apprehensive in the beginning, but you are such a gracious and absolutely entertaining host.
Oh,
so
and you're so kind to come on the show. I know your time's very important. I understand that. So I feel that you really gave a lot of great tips and advice and resource information, which is what I hope to give to people. Because Michael, I came out here in 92 to go to UCLA. I just graduated college and I came out here to get that. I took a film extension. You know who talked me into coming out here? Dudley Moore. He was.
Oh, wow.
He was. Okay, so just real quick story. Okay, so not many people know this about him, but he was a classic pianist, and he was coming to do a concert at the Joseph Meyerhoff Symphony Hall in Maryland, and he was staying at a hotel that my friend Monica Scheiferstein from Germany, who's also in Germany now, and she lives in Dachau. Oh,
Dachau.
Another story. Dachau.
Outside of Munich.
Dachau. Yes. So she was working there as in hotel sales. And when Dudley Moore saw her, he was in love because she's a beautiful 6-foot-tall blonde with blue eyes. And he was following her all over the hotel. So she's like, I had to go to I used to direct theater, little community theater, and I used to participate in acting and things. And she said, I have to go. I cannot have a drink with you. I have to go see my friend Priscilla in her play. And he said, well, I want to go too. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to tell the whole story. But flash forward, he said, Priscilla, I said, well, I don't know if I want to move to New York or I want to move to LA because I want to pursue a career as a producer in film and radio, blah, 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 blah. And he said, well, I tell you what, if you decide to go to LA, I own a restaurant in Venice Beach called 72 Market Street. You will get a lifetime of filet mignon and what was that champagne, the expensive Dom Perignon. I will give you for a lifetime because I think that you're more geared towards the film and television industry. And I said, okay. He said, you need self-gratification. You need instant access to response. And I said, well, wouldn't that be New York and theater? I mean, that sounds more like where I should go. He said, no, they're too catty in New York. Go to LA. So that's how I ended up coming here, and I enrolled in the UCLA Film Extension Program. But that's how I ended up in LA. You could be anywhere in the world. Last question I'm curious about. Do you feel that LA is the right place for you for your next future career goals? Is LA where you need to be?
Well, I'm in LA. Yes. However, I have to go to Johannesburg soon. I have to go to I was in London. I travel a lot, so I was in London, and I got to go to Germany and to Berlin and a lot of different places. So LA is right now, it's a good base. I'm still getting to know the land. I don't know too many people out here. I know a few people, right?
You know me, and you're going to know Ernest and Jamie Foxx. I can introduce you to him.
Absolutely.
I got lots of people. We got to get together for a month.
Jamie used to work with a friend of mine.
So you know him.
Promoter up in San Francisco named Lionel B. So Jamie knows him. So it's not New York. It's like in New York, you could get out the house, walk down the street, and you run into someone. So here you have to be a little more diligent in how you meet people. But I have a lot of family out here.
You do?
Yeah, so.
Oh, wow. Well, see, you're not alone. As long as you got family, you're doing all right.
I have family that's in fairly prominent in the film business, turned out. It's a small world. I come from a family, we originally are from South Carolina.
I have lots of family in South Carolina.
Yeah, so my great-grandfather really believed in self-sufficiency and doing things for self. And when after his parents were emancipated and my great-grandmother's parents were emancipated, they built this gigantic farm in Lamar, South Carolina, and they kind of imbued my family. They were fairly large, and they imbued all the kids in this spirit of you got to be independent and do things and be creative, et cetera, et cetera. So one of my cousins is one of the pioneers of hip hop out of New York. Another cousin of mine is a major film producer and director out here in LA. I'm not sure whether I met him. I think, in my travels, I've met so many people, but we'll run into each other eventually. So I have another one of my cousins, a guy named Kevin Jordan. He's an extremely hilarious comedian. Used to be a cop here in LA. So yeah, I got family all over the place. We're big family.
I tell you, you and I, we just get along so well. We could be talking for 5 hours, but I don't want to hold you up. But I have a question for you. I keep thinking all these questions. So obviously you're very, very attractive. So I can imagine that you were like the shit back in the day, right? I know you had to beat those shorties off with a damn bat, right?
Well, thank you.
It's true. It's true.
No, I was privileged in meeting some wonderful people. Like there was one person that I really Miss. She was a model named Katusha Inyani. Unfortunately, she passed in 2007. She was a good friend of mine. And, there's some, other wonderful, beautiful women that I've had the privilege of dating. Yeah. But overall, at the end of the day, and I want to go into that beautiful women thing. At the end of the day, I find that, and it's really true, that women's physical characteristics change with their personality. If you are initially attracted to a beautiful woman, and then you find out she's foul inside, she turns ugly in front of your eyes.
Yes.
Of course, she doesn't really change, but your perception is such that, and then if you run into a woman that may not be considered as attractive, and you find that she's a beautiful person, you all of a see, all the beauty in her, you see what I'm saying? So that's a real thing,
It is.
So,
and you can think about people when you're choosing a mate, okay, you're going to choose physical lust, most likely, both male and female. But think about this. If you marry this person, are you going to be happy waking up next to them 50 years later? Because it goes from lust and romance to friendship. That's just it. And you should marry your best friend. But are you going to feel happy with them? And you really have to think about that stuff. And I find that a lot of young people, Michael, are not thinking about that. They're not thinking about it. They're just thinking, can I get the butterfly flick and the ice cream swirl? You don't know about that. You're a nice man. You're not. I'm not going to teach you about those East Coast sexual terms. I don't want to.
I'm from New York. I'm from New York.
But a lot of people are not thinking, and this is something you have to think of. Is this person going to become my best friend? Can this person lock me down? Is this person, do I have their back? It's very hard to think about that and be thinking about the lust factor. People don't want to think about it. And that is going to be to their demise. Well, the reason I had said to you, you're an attractive man, I would have thought that because, back in the day, you were so attractive that people would have tried to get you to perform in some capacity, most likely probably act. I don't know if you can sing, but I imagine they were trying to do that.
That's funny. When I went to Yale, somebody came up to me and asked me to act in a play, and nothing came of that. But I did go to Yale with Angie Bassett, so I looked at that, saw what she did, and I was thinking at one point in time maybe I should do the same thing, but then I'm like, nah, you don't have the talent, and and
you didn't even try to be in a play with
you. Nah, and then there was another guy named Warrington Hudlin who went to Yale at the same time. And he produced films, and I was thinking maybe I should go and ask him to be in one of his films. But at the end of the day, I'm like, nah, And I'm actually kind of shy, to tell you the truth. I don't like in terms of I don't like being in the spotlight. But if you think I was attractive and women like me, I guess they did. But my partner, the Black Prince,
it's like Roger Cormier.
It's like it was
I'm gonna look
the women that were jumping at this man,
Wow.
So I was always.
Did you ever sing? Did you sing at all? Maybe.
Oh, I cannot sing at all. In fact, I didn't know what a key in the keyboard on the keyboard and the key in the lock is. The difference between them.
I was about to ask you to break down a little rap with me. I thought we were going to do some salt and pepper up in here.
But I tell you one thing that I can do. I can identify who's going to be a star.
How? What?
Well, I'll give you an example. So I'll give you two examples since we're dropping names. So let me see. I dropped Chris Rock's name. I dropped Angie's name.
I wasn't even thinking about dropping names. I'm just talking about my story.
Okay, I'll tell you what. So I get this phone call one day from the former, come on, what's her name? The former manager of the Backstreet Boys, the female part of that. Come on. What's wrong with me? Okay, so she calls me. She says, Michael, I want you to come see an artist of mine here that you know she's new. She's on Arista. You know, see what you can do with her. And I said, okay, Donna Wright. That's what, yeah. Okay. So I said, okay. So I came down there, and she, showed me this new artist, and that artist sang a little bit, and and I saw her move, and I said, Donna, I will pay you. I don't know how much money right now, put a deposit on her because she's going to blow up. She's going to be the new Madonna. He's like, you think so? I said, yeah, she's going beyond Madonna. She's like, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, That turned out to be Pink.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so I ran into Pink a few times in London too. But I'm like, see. Then there was another artist, my mother, that used to work for my mother. My mother used to be a dean at Bowie State University in Maryland. She said, listen, you gotta meet this girl. She's my, she's my administrative assistant. And listen to what she's got, So I listened to what she had. I'm like, yo, this is dope. So I met with her and I said, you're going to blow up. Yeah, you're going to blow up. Oh yeah, I'm about to go to Atlanta too, to work with LaFace. I said, okay, do that. But make sure they don't bankrupt you. But and that was Tony Braxton. Right?
Oh,
so
wow.
Tony used to work for my mother. So and then there are acts in Sweden that I've sung. It's all over the place. I have an uncanny knack. It really is weird. Uncanny knack to identify who's going to be incredible, who's not.
Why didn't you ever pursue a career as a talent scout or open your own agency?
Well, we did management, remember, and we did manage producers such as
But spotting the stars.
We did identify. You ever heard of Tyson Beckford? So Roy discovered him, and I hooked him up with Beth Ann and all that. And, so we discovered some of these people, yeah.
Wow.
And it's some of the people that ended up at Def Jam. But see, Roy and we used to work in the background a lot. Yes. Just like people don't know about Carmen Asherus as much, right? She used to work in the background because we weren't attention seekers as such.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that, for example, came out of Yale that got involved in the entertainment business and became the backbone of it. There's a gentleman named Robert Celestine that was also with at Yale. Around the time I was there, he was a freshman. He became a major attorney in the business and became first up. He was at Arista Records and then became Uptown Records main attorney. Wow. Then in the film business, of course, you have Warrington Hudlin that I just mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And brothers, Red and Hudlin and all them. And you got a lot of these Ivy League guys like George Jackson, who unfortunately passed quite a while ago. But for some reason, some of us, and then there were the Morehouse guys like Monty Ross and Spike Lee and them. And, we kind of ended up in the same streets and a few corners away from each other, from college, boom, in there. So I don't know why I said that, but in any
case,
you
guys in the same fraternity at Yale, or?
No, I was never in a fraternity. I was in a student alliance up there called the Black Student Alliance at Yale.
Okay.
So and we had some prominent people coming out of there. Like the current president of Morehouse College came out of there. We were together. So there are a lot of creative people. Like I said, Angie Bassett was there. Warrington Hudlin was a prominent guy again around that organization. And also we had at Yale called the Afro-American Culture Center. It was like we called it the house, which allowed us to congregate and be both political and creative. So you'd have theater groups in there. You'd have it was a specific building, large building that Yale provided for us. So it was a kind of a small Harlem Renaissance, that allowed people also from the New Haven community to come in there, and we all just exchanged ideas and then went out into the world and did whatever we had to do.
The only person I know from Yale is that I hope I'm right about this, Brooke Shields. I think she went to Yale. That's the only person.
It was after I went there. I'm class of 78. Brooke Shields went after I went to Yale. That's class of 78. Some others went to Yale. But who also went to Yale was an incredibly talented woman and came out of Def Jam. Oh. That's Lisa Cortez.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
that's amazing. You just never know until you start talking, and then all the stories come up, and then you find out things that you just can't even believe you didn't even think about. So it's all about communicating. And I want to tell you before I leave, oh my gosh, thank you for gracing my little podcast. You've been everything. You were more than I could hope for, because I was a little intimidated about having you on the show, because when I was reading your bio, I'm like, oh my God, he's so intelligent. I got to write all these questions. Oh my God, let me show you. I was like, oh my God, I got to write all these questions. So I'm like, okay, I came out with this one. And then I'm like, oh, I came out with this. And I'm like, oh no, he's not going to like that. Oh, I got to come on. I came out with 3 damn pages of questions. I've been working on this since I booked your ass on my show. And I'm like, I hope one of those questions. So I just highlighted a couple that I thought would really be good. And then I put the feelers out and I asked what people wanted, and I got responses back from I only did 2, but we actually got 26, I think. But thank you so much. I said, I can't be asking all the questions. I want to talk to them about all the old days. I want to be talking about, I want us to be dropping our names.
Priscilla.
I don't think of it as dropping names. I'm just telling my stories. That's all.
I'll tell you what, Priscilla, if you ever need me back, just call.
Yes! Oh my God! Well, you know what we could do? We could do a show with Ernest, me, you, and Ernest Thomas.
Yeah. And you know what? And you made my day by telling me I'm still good looking.
Well, you are. You know, you look in that damn mirror when you're shaving. You're like, I'm still hot.
So that went down like butter. So thank you.
Well, if you don't know me yet, but if you ask me, you know that I love good-looking men. I just love you. My husband, he doesn't even pay attention to me anymore. I'm obsessed with Harry Styles. I know you know who Harry Styles is. I just would wake up in the morning and I'd play "You're So Golden." Da, 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 da. Oh my God, he is one of the most. You know who he is, right? Obviously, Harry Styles. You know.
Yeah, of course.
I love this man, right? And so I just appreciate a good-looking man, and I don't have a damn problem telling you if you're looking good. I think everybody should tell. I mean, why would you not tell someone if that's the way you feel? I don't know. People are too inhibited. I don't know. I've never been inhibited, and I love to tell you. And thank you. I hope you come back on my show. We'll get Ernest, and it'll be a fun time. And if you ever want to go out and have dinner or lunch, I'll get the gang together and we'll go out and have some fun.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, did you? Well, you're smiling a lot more now. Thank you for sharing your stories. Everybody, if you are interested in finding out more about Michael Fisher's company, go to InyaniCorp.com. Go to LinkedIn. Are you on any other social media sites other than LinkedIn?
You know, you got to ask Beatrice about all that. She's doing all that stuff.
Oh, well, you know,
but you can also go to just plainly Inyani.net. So,
Oh, Inyani.
they'll take you to the site as well.
Okay, good. All right. Well, you go and check Michael Fisher out, and we thank you so much for listening to his story. And we will see you next week on Question Reality. Bye.
Take care.
You're listening to Question Reality. Question Reality with Priscilla Leona.